Let's look at the next question. It says, calculate the quantity of sodium hydroxide required for a 350 milliliter of 0.9% solution. How would you add the calculated amount to the solvent? Calculate the quantity of sodium hydroxide required for a 350 milliliter of 0.9% solution. So first of all, what do you do to calculate quantity? What is the relationship between quantity, milliliter, and the rest? Now 0.9% of sodium hydroxide is what? Now what we must know is the amount of sodium hydroxide in 0.9%. Now 0.9% means there are 0.9 gram of sodium hydroxide in 100 milliliter. Is that understood? 0.9 gram of sodium hydroxide in 100 milliliter. So now if you want to convert this to volume, what are you now going to say? That 0.9 gram all over 100 milliliter would be equal to, you are looking for the amount that will be present in 350 milliliter, right? It will now be X all over 350 milliliter. These two, if you cross multiply, this will give us 1000 or 100 millimeter times X is equal to 0.9 gram times 350 milliliter. Now divide both sides by 100. When you divide both sides by 100, this is going to give us, this cancels this, which is 100 milliliter. Milliliter cancels milliliter. You have X is equals to 0.9 times 350 divided by 100. And this will give us 3.15 gram. So this is the volume, the amount that will be required. Now, how would you add the calculated amount to the solvent? Now, one way to add the amount to the solvent is, if this is a volumetric flask, let's say a 350 milliliter volumetric flask, all you need to do first is, first of all, add 3.5 gram, measure it. You can decide to turn it inside. Then when you turn it inside, let there be some water inside first. Then from the beaker, you measure this thing in. You continually rinse it inside of this until there are no longer particles. Let's say there is a beaker here. This is a beaker. Let's assume this is a beaker. Now what you do in this case is, measure your 3.5 gram and place it here. Let's assume this is it. Put a little water, rinse it, and transfer it here. Are you getting it? Be rinsing this, transferring it. Now, when you rinse and transfer, you see that there are no particles of any of these here. Maybe it will be at this point. You now add water until you get to the 350 milliliter mark. Now, but another thing that you need to consider is, most of the volumetric flasks that we have are usually 100 ml, 250 ml, 500 ml, and 1000 ml. We usually do not have 350 ml. So in that case, how do you do it? You first of all calibrate using a measuring cylinder. This is a measuring cylinder, and this is, you can take the one that is big a little, let's say 500 ml. Okay, volumetric flask. Let's say this 500 ml volumetric flask. Okay, now take your measuring cylinder. Let's say measure to 350 ml. Now turn the water inside this volumetric flask and then mark the place. You can decide to mark the place. Now, I haven't marked the place. What do? Turn some of the water out, and then with your beaker, start rinsing inside until maybe there are no other particles of the 3.15 gram. Then fill it to volume, like what we did for the experiment in sodium chloride calculated for the PCT exam. That's what you do in this case. Now the next question says, if the usual dosage is 500 milligram, calculate the dosage for a child whose weight is, now the weight is known, 80 IB. Notice that it was given in IB. So how do you now calculate that? You say weight, the dosage now for the child, dosage for the child. If the weight is known, which of the formula are we going to use? The Clark's rule, right? It will now be the weight of child or child weight times adult dosage divided by 150 IB. Now, if it were to be in kg, what do? You use kg. You use 75 here or 70. Why? If it is in IB, you use 150. So this will be equals to, what is the weight of the child? Is 80. What is the adult dosage? 500 milligram divided by 150. When you do this, your calculator is going to give us 80 times 500 divided by 150. So the child's dose will be 266.66 or 67 milligram, and this will be the child's dose. Okay, child's dosage. So that is that for this question. Now write their various equations. We've done that before in the first episode. Using the product of volume and concentration method, calculate the amount of sodium hydroxide BP 1993 required to prepare 300 milliliter of 40% weight by volume sodium hydroxide. The concentration of sodium hydroxide BP is 80% weight by volume. So concentration is what? Let's say C1 is 300 milliliter. V1 is 40% weight by volume. Now C2 is 80% weight by volume. V2 is unknown, because they say using the product of volume and concentration method, calculate the amount of sodium hydroxide. So you are looking for the volume of sodium hydroxide BP 1993 required to prepare 300 milliliter of a 40% weight by volume sodium hydroxide. So how do you go about this now? Let us calculate V2 using this formula. So this will be equal to C1 V1, because they say using product of volume and concentration method. So the product of volume and concentration is C1, which is concentration, and V1 is volume. C1 V1 must be equals to C2 V2. Product of volume and concentration. Volume and concentration. That is the meaning of this statement. So C1 now is 300 milliliter times V1 is 40%. Is equal to C2 is 80% and then V2 is unknown. To get V2, divide both sides by 80%. And then this cancels this. Percent cancels percent. We are left with 300 times 40% divided by 80. And this will give us 150 milliliter. So the volume that is required is 150 milliliter. Okay, 150 milliliter. Now how do we calculate the amount that is required? If the volume required is 150 milliliter, how do you calculate the amount that is required? It's very easy. Now normally, what is the concentration? Is 80% weight by volume. Is that not so? So we can now come here and say this is 80. 80% means 80 gram in what? 100 milliliter. That's the meaning of 80% weight by volume. Like 80% weight over volume means 80 all over what? 100. The weight is gram. Volume is what? Milliliter. That's the meaning of this statement. Okay, 80% weight by volume, 80 gram all over 100 milliliter. So if the concentration normally is 80 gram all over 100 milliliter, which was given here. Now, what will now be the concentration what will now be the mass if it is 150 milliliter instead of the normal 100 milliliter? You will now say this is equal to, here will now be X all over 150 milliliter. Because these two must be equal. If 80 over 100, it must be equal to S all over 150 milliliter. So from here now, I cross multiply. This multiplied by this, it gives us X times 100 milliliter is equal to 80 gram times 150 milliliter. Now to get S, divide both sides by 100. Okay? When this cancels this, your S will be equals to 80 times 150 divided by 100. What will it give to you? To give you 120 gram. So the amount that is required in 150 milliliter is 120 gram. Is that understood? The amount required is 120 gram. So if you measure 120 gram, dissolve it in 150 milliliter, it's going to give us this 80% weight by weight. Okay? So that is the solution to that question. Now the next is training of dispensers through apprenticeship was in what year? It was between 1887 and 1923. Training of dispenser through apprenticeship was in the year 1887 through 1923. The training of dispenser through farmer education kick-started by opening the School of Yaba now the school was opened in 1924 and then it ran till 1936. School of Pharmacy Yaba was opened in 1924. It ran till 1936. Now, but the school began operation in approximately 1925. The first superintendent principal of the School of Pharmacy Yaba was Taylor Gordons. Was Dr. Gordons Taylor or Taylor Gordons. Dr. Gordons Taylor was the first superintendent principal of the School of Yaba. School of Pharmacy Zaria was opened in 1930 and closed in 1940 because of the Civil War. And then it was closed and reopened in 1947 to 1961. It was reopened in 1947 to 1961. So that is that for that question. Now, outline the stages with different schools for the training of chemists and druggists in Nigeria. Now, the first one is the School of Pharmacy Yaba. School of Pharmacy Yaba. School of Pharmacy Yaba was, I think, 1924 till 1936. Okay, this one began in 1927 rather to 1936. Then we have another one again, School of Pharmacy Yaba. There are two school of Pharmacy, just an upgrade, and this one is 1936 to 1956. There we have NCAST. I believe everybody knows what NCAST means. NCAST means Nigeria College of Arts, Science and Technology, Ibadan. This one was opened in the year 1957 and it stayed till 1962. Then we have School of Pharmacy, Zaria. School of Pharmacy, Zaria. And that one was 1961, October 1961. Began in October 1961 to 1972. So if we want to recap, we say the School of Pharmacy, Yaba, was the first one for the training of chemists and druggists, was 1927 to 1936. School of Pharmacy, Yaba again, 1936 to 1956. NCAS began in 1957 to 1962. And then the School of Pharmacy, Zaria, began in 1961 and ended in 1972. Okay, so that is that. The first to graduate from the School of Chemists and Druggists, Yaba, were, I think the name, Mesa Mamo, something like that. And then the other person's name, I have forgotten, A.D. Brown. E. Mamo and A.D. Brown. NCAS began operation in 1957. Okay? NCAS began operation in 1957. The first head of department in NCAS was J.M. Rawson. J.M. Rawson, Professor J.M. Let's add Prof to the name. Professor J.M. Rawson. The 2 degrees awarded at NCAS were the Chemist and Druggist Diploma, which is a diploma of the board, Chemist and Druggist Diploma. And then the other one was DPNC, Diploma of Pharmacy for Nigeria, one nonsense like that. I've forgotten the name. Let me try and spy if I can get it. Just wait, let me get my material. The 2 certificates given were, one, Chemist and Druggist Diploma, I got that one correctly. And then the other one is Diploma in Pharmacy of the Nigeria College. Actually got it almost. Diploma of Pharmacy. We have Diploma of Pharmacy of the Nigerian College. Okay? Diploma of Pharmacy of the Nigerian College. The Chemist and Druggist Diploma began in Zaria in what year? Chemist and Druggist Diploma began in Zaria in September 1961. October 1961. Now, that is that for all these questions. The training of pharmacy at bachelor degree level started at the Ibadan campus of the University of Ife. Ibadan campus at University of Ife in 1963, September 1963. Okay? September 1963. University of Ife was renamed OAU in what year? The University of Ife was renamed OAU in 1987 in memory of their first chancellor, Obafemi Awolowo. Okay, so that is that for this question. Now the next. Flow chart of pharmacy education from classroom to practice in Nigeria. Let's see how it is. The flow chart. We have 4 to 5 years curriculum, pharmacy curriculum study in an accredited pharmacy school. 4 to 5 years pharmacy curriculum study, in an accredited school, of pharmacy in Nigeria or its accredited equivalent in BPharm, School of Pharmacy in Nigeria or its accredited equivalent in bracket BPharm. Then after that one, you're expected to go for 1 year compulsory internship. 1 year compulsory internship which is, this one is provisional registration. When you do this one, you are not fully registered with PCN. That is why they call it provisional registration with PCN, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Then another 1 year youth service, National Youth Service Corps, which is NYSC. 1 year NYSC program. Now when you are done with your NYSC program, you are now fully registered. With PCN. Okay. Then the next one is the 1 year is mandatory. Okay, mandatory 1 year, mandatory internship. Then the next one is pharmacy practice according to area of interest. Pharmacy practice according to area of interest. Area of interest and available open doors. Then postgraduate pharmacy training. Postgraduate pharmacy training. No, postgraduate in various fields. That's postgraduate now. After graduation, any program you do is called postgraduate. Postgraduate pharmacy training in various fields and specialized pharmacy services in various fields. Then after that one, you now go to professional pharmacy practice in general or specialized field. Professional pharmacy practice in general or specialized field. In general or specialized field. Okay, so that is that for this question. So that is basically all for this part of the PCT. All calculations inclusive here, I've done them. Okay, so that is that. Thank you for your time.